أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
And Jumah Mubarak to all of you. And first and foremost, I give my congratulations to all of you on the occasion which is upon us, and that is the birthday of Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. And since we will be celebrating his birthday in a few days, I thought it would also be nice as well to give one of the reminders from Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. And this reminder or this dhikr that the Imam he taught to us, he taught to his Shia, one that he himself he practiced, is listed among the hirz of Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi wasallam, a dua for protection. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he states in the Quran, and we should all know that, فَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ حَافِظًا وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, that your best protector, the one who will protect you, who will keep you safe from every difficulty and calamity, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this particular hirz of Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi wasallam, he mentions three conditions or three states that we go through. And so in each one of those, he's beseeching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He starts with, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا عدتي عند شدتي ويا غوثي عند كربتي ويا مؤنسي عند وحدتي احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفني بركنك الذي لا يرام. So the Imam, he mentions three states: الشدة والكرب and wahda. So shidda, difficulties, and quite often we face many difficulties in our lives. This whole year has been a difficult time for everyone, especially those who have fallen ill, those who have gotten sick. Some people even have a difficult time in securing proper food, water, medicine. In all of these situations and whatever difficulties we are facing, as Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi wasallam, he reminds us that we should always rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what that difficulty is. وَيَا غَوْثِي عِنْدَ كُرْبَتِي. So, and the one that you beseech, the one you call upon, again, when you are facing calamities of death. And karb, again, this is a word, or kurbati, something that is easy to remember. Same root as karbala. In other words, it has that same karb there, that difficulty, that calamity, those things which we face, which seems almost unsurmountable, that we should remember to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَا مُونِسِي عِنْدَ وَحْدَتِي. And this is one I want to kind of focus on a bit, that the Imam, he calls upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَا مُونِسِي عِنْدَ وَحْدَتِي. That we call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who will keep us company in that moment in which we are alone. And of course, when we look at the life of Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam, we can take a very practical lesson from this, because the Imam, when he was arrested, there was some of the places where he was kept, he was in complete solitude. In fact, one of the statements, and we mentioned this in our last discussion about Imam Hasan Al-Askari, again, when we commemorated his shahada, that the Imam, he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when he was in solitude, and this is one of the things that changed the hearts of some of the most hard-hearted individuals to become the followers of the Imam. That the Imam, he says, because this person, this guard, he heard the Imam say this, that the Imam says, "Oh Allah, I've been praying to you to have alone time with you, and now you've given it to me." And it's in the form of this dungeon, this dark dungeon that the Imam is stuck in. So even in that situation, the Imam, he is stating, "Ya munisi inda wahdati," that at any moment that you feel that you're alone, and we should never feel that we're alone. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be the one who is companion, our companion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be the one who is with us. He is the one who's munisi. And when we look at the philosophy of this and how the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wasalam, they teach us about this concept of uns, al-uns billah. That uns billah, that connection and companionship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one that will last in this world and the next. In this world and the next. So among this dua, of course, every part of it is important, but when we look at this part where the Imam says, "Ya munisi inda wahdati." Now this is a very important concept. One of the hadith that is related to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that the grave actually calls out to us. Unfortunately, because we are not in the habit of remembering death, as Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he tells us that we should always be, and we should always remember death. He says, "Usikum bidhikr al-maut." But because we are not always and constantly remembering death, we don't hear the grave calling out to us. But the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says it calls out to us. Calls out to us 5 things. One of those things, which I want to relate to this dua of Imam Hasan Al-Askari alayhi salatu wasalam, he says the grave, the Prophet said, the grave calls out to us that ana baytu wahdak. Says, I am the house of loneliness. I am that place where, again, you will not be with anyone. You'll be yourself, by yourself. And so the grave says, فَحْمِلُوا إِلَيَّ مُونِسًا. So, فَحْمِلُوا إِلَيَّ مُونِسًا. So bring with you a companion. And what companion will you take with you to the grave? And many of us, we think of this concept of loneliness, of wahda, as, oh, well, hey, as long as I have a person with me, my family with me, a friend with me, then okay, I'm not lonely. But that is not the true concept of loneliness. That loneliness is when you don't have Allah with you in your life. And we will not comprehend this until we're in the grave. So this is why we find Imam Hasan Al-Askari in his life and during his lifetime, he's asking Allah that, oh Allah, be my companion. Ya munisi inda wahdati. Whatever people think is loneliness, that, oh Allah, if you're with me, then I'm never alone. And this parallels also with that statement of Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam, where he said that, and someone asked him about that, about being by himself. He says, no. He says, as long as I have the Quran, he says, I'm not alone. He says, I don't feel any wahda. He says, every person can leave. He says, as long as I have Quran. And why the Quran? Because this is the word, these are the words of Allah, kalimatullah. And if you're reading the words of Allah, you're connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is your companion. Huwa sahibukum, huwa munisikum. He is the one who is with you. So, in every moment, in every situation, we should never consider ourselves alone or feel this sense of loneliness. And of course, this has been a test for us over the last 2 years as well. In fact, some even have named this pandemic the pandemic of loneliness. Why? Because they say, oh, because of all these protocols and you can't have contact with people. So some people have, even during this time of pandemic, have developed anxieties from being alone, from not having that contact as they normally did before the pandemic. But one of the things that we should take with us, especially from this dua of Imam Hasan Al-Askari, alayhi afdal salatu, that remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always with us, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be your companion. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your companion, then you will never feel that loneliness. Ya munisi inda wahdati. Uhrusni, as the Imam he says, that it will protect me bi'aynika allati la tanam. Because that companion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will cover you, He will protect you. And this is at every moment, even when we sleep and we're not aware. وَكَنُفْنِي بِرُكْنِكَ الَّذِي لَا يُرَامُ. And also that you will back me, support me with your support and your fortification that never weakens. And inshallah, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in our times of difficulties, our time of calamities, that in our time of, we can say, imagined loneliness, that we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our companion, our helper in every situation. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal 'asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihat wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr.